Okay, it's quite late, quite a late afternoon on Sunday. The sun is starting to set and it's a bit windy, so I'm sorry about the audio, but I'm ordering myself a little mic soon, the mics with like a little fur piece on it. So that's a good investment. It's absolutely beautiful outside right now. And I've been waiting for a place like this to record this video, because this video I want to talk about being mindful, and I feel like having like a beautiful view like this in the back it allows you to just understand the message more and really feel what I'm saying. And by the title, you may think that it's something complex or something hard, but in reality, it's something um pretty simple. It's just open-minded and closed-minded. Um, it's a very underlooked topic. A lot of people live their lives closed-minded and don't realize till they're a bit older, till it's maybe a bit too late, that they were closed-minded the whole life. And now this is what I'm trying to spread the message out there and the importance of becoming open-minded. Just want to more speak on the subject and let you guys know before it's too late, because a lot of older people, more mature and more wise people have told me that they were like the whole life they were closed-minded and they didn't know this, and they've told me how this has like changed their life kind of in a negative neutral way, if you know. Whereas you'll meet an open-minded person, an open-minded wiser person, and you just want to take in their knowledge of maybe traveling the world or whatever you want to take it from them. Open-minded people are a lot more wiser. You can just tell by the physical appearance, by the energy, that they're open-minded. So let's actually just dive into it instead of yapping. So what do I mean by closed-minded? So a closed-minded person who's someone who is always in defense. They've always got the guard up. Now this person has been taught information when they were young by maybe the media, maybe by people, their parents, their friends. And this information, they've really locked themselves in this kind of bubble. And their life is now just this information. They live their life by the rules. It may be diet, it may be a certain type of lifestyle, and they're really closed-minded. They don't want to try new things. They don't want to explore. They become a lot more mature and they become a lot more mentally older. And this obviously projects on the outside to be a bit more, physically older. And a closed-minded person is just very secure, very comfortable with what they have. It may be the job, it may be the house, it may be the environment where they're living. They're just all comfortable, and they're just very comfortable and very secure with that. And now, of course, you live a beautiful life like this, but there's much more out there for us to explore. So why would we want to lock ourselves in this box? Why would we want to just stay here when we can explore? Not only does it apply to the physical world, but it also applies to opinions too. When a closed-minded person is taught an opinion, instantly they reject it. They're kind of like, their beliefs are very, very, very religious to them. Like in a sense of like it's strict and it's sinful to even think about something different outside of that. And the majority of people nowadays, when I'm talking to them and I tell them a view, that might be different, their world is shook. They don't know how to react. They feel inferior, and because they feel inferior, they reject this on me and then start to criticize me. I've talked about that in a past video about how often I get criticized, maybe made fun of a little. But I understand why they do this. It's because they feel a bit inferior. But that's not their fault. It's because they're closed-minded. Closed-minded lifestyle might be someone who gets a job and works that job for a long, long time. They might they might hate the job, but they're very like they're secure and they're comfortable. They don't want to move job. They don't want to lose the money they're making. They're fine with what is. They're fine with kind of being mediocre in a sense. Of course, not all closed-minded people are mediocre, but I'm pretty sure that the majority of closed-minded people will be mediocre because of the lifestyle that they indulge in, and the lifestyle that they're happy with. They've got quite just overall just very average expectations and standards. They might work this job they hate with a salary that they can barely scrape off, and they might be completely fine with this and just live their whole life like that until they get old and they realize, shit, you know. They might say no to a lot of things, you know. They might miss out on a lot of life experiences. They might miss out on travel, on trying different foods, on trying different women, on trying different style, you know, just trying things, trying a new hobby, you know. They just miss out on that experience, and they don't live life to the fullest of what it can be, because they're closed-minded. So that's what a lifestyle of a closed-minded person might look like. They'll be very boxed off, in guard, and just in this bubble. Yeah. A closed-minded person will also have very closed-minded friends as well, around them, and it just keeps them in that bubble more securely. So now, what do I mean by the term open-minded? Now, when I say open-minded, that's someone who wants to explore the world. They want to explore, they want to be childish in the head. They want to say yes to things. They want to question. They want to ask more questions. They want to look at the world differently. They want to question views. They're very open-minded. They're open to a lot of things. These people aren't in bubbles, but more the complete opposite. They're asking, they're questioning, and this is that's very, very, very good. You know, that person is going to be a lot happier. They may have a job they hate, and then they might question, oh, maybe, you know, is there more than this in life? And then they might explore further, and instead of like plateauing at a certain age and just, you know, carrying on that boring, mundane lifestyle, they go even further. You know, they might travel, they might freaking find a new job, they might create a business, they might just do something that's risky and out of the way. You know, these very open-minded people don't care about being secure. In fact, they want the opposite. They like the adventure, like they like the risk, they like, you know, not knowing what's going to be next. Open-minded person is so much more fun than a closed-minded person to be around. You instantly know when someone is open-minded and someone is closed-minded. Someone who's open-minded may also alter the beliefs, you know, and they may so for example, if an open-minded person is like criticizing their beliefs, instead of instantly becoming the defensive player, they might listen to that. And what that can do is that can open up so many opportunities. Let's say for diet's a big one, for example. Let's say their whole life they were brought up with carbs are good, and then suddenly someone says carbs aren't good. Someone who's closed-minded is going to be like, no, and then they're going to go the rest of their life eating carbs and feeling shitty for it. They're not going to experience what life's like outside of what they already know. Whereas an open-minded person who's being raised on carbs, and then somebody says carbs are bad, they may be like, question it more, explore it more, you know, maybe even try it themselves. They try it themselves, they feel great, they feel this life, they feel like they're in heaven, they've got this energy they've never had before. And it's like, that's just like an example, and there's so many more examples that just show how, like, they just show that being open-minded can give you this lifestyle, it can give you this life that's a lot better than being closed-minded, you know. It doesn't just stop at diet, it doesn't stop, it's endless. Being open-minded is endless opportunities, and there's always, when you're open-minded, you're always improving, whereas you're closed-minded, you plateau. So what may an open-minded person look like? Well, instead of staying at a plateau and instead of not exploring things, they'll be feeling the best, doing what they want to do with their life, experiencing the world and its beauty, its infinity, literally exploring the world, taking it all in, saying yes to people more. If the friend asks them to travel, yes. Try this food, yes. They've experienced life more, they're a lot wiser, they've got a lot more to say and talk about, and, you know, tell the children and tell the friends and whatever. And that's the difference. It's a complete contrast. Being closed-minded and being open-minded is a complete contrast, as you can see. I'm really want you to become more open-minded. So this week, after watching this video, completely after watching it, I want you to immediately say yes to things more. Now, of course, if it's something stupid like, do you want to rob a bank? You know, there's limits. Whereas, you know, if it's something that you've been on the fence about, you're kind of nervous, it's kind of maybe a risk, maybe say yes this time and see where it takes you. You know, as soon as you see the world beyond what you've been taught, you just want more, and, you know, you can really appreciate and have more, like, be a lot more grateful Whereas if you're in your own bubble, you can't feel this, and you can't feel the intense beauty, and you can't be as grateful. You need to just go out there and experience it. That's my advice. This video is, I've redone this video a few times because I've been really doing it wrong, but I feel like I'm doing it right now. I've been kind of trying to tell you how to be open-minded when I can't tell you that. I can't tell you how to be open-minded. That's something you have to do, you know. So instead of it being a how-to video, it's more of like a informative video. You know, this is what life is like outside of being closed-minded. This is what life's like being closed-minded. You know, a closed-minded person might not hop this fence and seen this beautiful view that I'm in. You know, they might have just stayed behind there and thought, you know, because society tells me to and because people tell me to, and maybe it's not normal, I'm not going to do it. Whereas an open-minded person is through the gate, you know, and he's in this beautiful farm. Absolutely beautiful farmland, by the way. I'd love to meet the farmer and speak to him right now. But would a closed-minded person? No, they wouldn't want to speak to you. They don't want to go out of the comfort zone, you know. Well, it's not even your comfort zone. It's just like going out there, you know. They'd rather just stay in this bubble. They don't want to go out there. But that's it for today's video. I might make a part 2 on this because it's a very, very underlooked topic, but it's very important. But yeah, see ya.